seeded BYU will play for the national championship.
And BYU goes to the Sweet 16.
2014 was a special year for BYU. Both women's basketball and volleyball had their best seasons ever, and there was a common denominator. The person who's joining me now, Jen Hamson. How are you doing?
Good. How are you doing?
Pretty good. So let's start, I guess, chronologically. So March of 2014, you're playing for the women's basketball team. You led BYU to the Sweet 16 for the first time ever, had the most wins in program history. This was your senior season, and you decided to focus solely on basketball for that season and not volleyball. Seems like it certainly paid off for you.
Yeah, it really did. It made a huge difference for me. I was able to fine-tune my skills and my offense especially, and I don't know, worked out for us.
So let's jump ahead to the NCAA tournament. You guys were a 12 seed. In the second round, you faced 4th seed in Nebraska, and the end of the game, close game, you scored 5 points in the last 14 seconds, including hitting 3 free throws to kind of ice the game. Can you describe kind of what you're feeling? Were you nervous? Are you cool under pressure?
I don't know. I was feeling pretty confident at that time. I was having a good, if I remember correctly, like pretty good percentage free throw wise that game. So I was feeling pretty confident in my shots, and I don't know. Yeah, I just remember feeling confident and honestly excited because I just knew we were going to win.
Yeah, and you did win, obviously, and went to the Sweet 16 for the first time, and lucky you get to face number 1 UConn. So obviously you guys were underdogs, but the second half of the game, you guys were winning at one point, which no team had done up to that point in the season against UConn. Can you kind of talk about that experience, facing the powerhouse that is UConn?
It was a really cool experience. Like, obviously they were a top team, and they had been a top team for a very long time. And for us, we just wanted to compete. And I remember we did so well the first half, and we were playing confident and shooting well, and our defense was right on point. And I don't know, we were playing really well that first half. And then, later as the game went on, obviously some factors led in that they were a little better team than us, obviously, and they came out with the win. But especially going to the locker room at halftime, I think we felt pretty confident in everything that we were accomplishing.
Yeah, no shame in that result, certainly. So later in the fall, you still have your year of eligibility left for volleyball, and you're focusing solely on volleyball. Again, lead the volleyball team to its best season ever, a trip to the national championship game for the first time. Did you think that was even possible going into the season and then specifically going into the NCAA tournament?
Yes. Like, I knew it was possible in the beginning of the season. I wasn't sure how likely it was, but I knew we had a team that could do it. But especially when we watched our ranking come out and who we were going to play and where in the tournament we were, I definitely knew we had a huge shot at getting very far.
You were the first unseeded team ever to advance that far in the tournament. Let's kind of jump ahead to the national semifinal, the Final Four. You guys faced the second seeded Texas. You led BYU with 22 kills, including those last 2 points of the match. Can you kind of describe that feeling, what it's like to clinch a match in the Final Four?
Especially against a team like Texas. They were so good, and they're a really tall and powerful team, and we were a very tall and powerful team. So it was really fun to play against a team that was similar to us in strategy and how they played. But I just remember in those last few points of that game is literally the mindset of like 1 point at a time. And I think our whole team was in sync with that, of like just focusing on our roles and what we need to do next. And yeah, it ended up being really good game.
So you eventually fell to Penn State in the national championship game, but somehow that was 6 years ago. Have you kind of reflected on what kind of legacy you left at BYU?
Oh, I don't know. I like, can't believe it's already been almost 6 years since all this has happened. Just makes me feel old. But I don't know. I definitely think it's impacted them since then. They've been a top, I want to say almost like a top 10, program for a while now. And it's been so great to see that not only did we like bring it up to a great level, but it stayed at a really high level, especially the volleyball program. And so it's just so good to see that it's doing so well even without, our influence.